Tuesday morning, I have an appointment in Springwood for hearing aids. When I had my hearing test back in the last school holidays, they determined that the hearing loss is significant enough that I need hearing aids. I said I wanted to see how it was at school again, being able to hear people in noisy environments, whether I can hear the students. That was my concern about having hearing aids and then being in a really loud environment. It took me some time to figure all that out, and now I'm in the next holidays. It was like, I've got to get in there. So I'd made the appointment, looking through the hearing aids, the specs and all that sort of stuff, and I noticed that one of the specs in several of them was that they can reduce tinnitus as well. And I've got really bad tinnitus in both ears. I've got significant hearing loss in my left ear, and I think it was borderline needing a hearing aid in this ear. And I was only going to get the one hearing aid. But when I saw the stuff about tinnitus, and I happened to see that when I was in a quiet environment and it was driving me nuts, I want to ask about that. I actually want to ask, and this was my wife's suggestion, to see whether I can get them covered under workers' compensation, because my hearing loss has been steady and gradual because I work in loud workshops. I wear a hearing protection as much as possible, especially when I'm using loud machinery. But if I'm in a classroom with the students and they're working away and I'm just sort of supporting, I want to be able to hear the kids, and so I rarely wear the hearing protection. And those rooms are so loud, especially now metalwork, kids banging on steel. In woodwork, the kids using other power tools, construction, them using the drop saw. Oh, it's like, my wife has said she's noticed my hearing has gone down significantly over the years. It's been like that for quite a while. Hearing Australia, which is where I'm going, is apparently one of the organisations approved to assess that. It may mean that their use is delayed. Their ordering is delayed. I don't know. Another concern my wife raised, I was just looking at over the ear ones, either the regular over the ear or the smaller over the ear. I'm not too concerned about people seeing that I need them, but my wife said them hanging on my ear and the little wire will probably bug me having to wear glasses or wear my safety glasses. And she said you should probably try and get the in-ear ones. Trouble with the in-ear ones is they've got to take a mold of your ear to make them specific for your ear, because that's what my dad has. My wife said, like, I would be forgetful. I'd forget they were there. I'd throw my glasses on and off. I often put my glasses up on my head. Would that be interfering with that? I know that the boss at work has hearing aids and he wears glasses, but he's not constantly taking his on and off. I don't need my glasses all the time, so I am taking them on and off all the time, or sitting them down on my nose, or like I said, popping them up on my head. And safety glasses, switching them in on and off. She said, I think you'd be breaking that little wire. So I've actually bought my prescription safety glasses to check that as well. That brings me to another concern. When I'm in the workshop, I wear in-ear hearing protection, because wearing the big over-the-ear hearing protection with safety glasses presses in on the safety glasses, hurts my head. That's why I wear the in-ear ones. I don't know what compromise is going to be the best. All those questions, I guess, will be answered very shortly. Just arriving down at Springwood. My appointment is in 10 minutes. Another reason I didn't want the in-ear ones is because of the cost. I think my dad said they cost 10 grand. The initial one I was looking at just for one, because I don't qualify for subsidised under the government. 3900 for one. Original one I was looking at, which was just like mid-range, but on checking the specifications, the better spec, they're better for hearing, having conversations with 3 to 4 people in a loud environment. Staff rooms, classrooms, meetings, definitely something I need. Talking to someone in the car, definitely. Hearing appointment done. Quotes for just a single hearing aid, because it's only the left ear that really needs it. And it's only for high frequencies. My low frequencies in both ears are good. My right ear is pretty good, except for the very highest frequency where it dips. Left ear. So I got quotes for 2 different types, for like 2 different levels, like a mid-range and then the next level up. We tried out the hearing aid with regular glasses, my safety glasses, that sort of stuff. So I would have to be careful because it did sort of grab the hearing aid. But she did say the in-ear one, where you get it all molded to go in your ear, kind of leaves you feeling blocked up. And because I'd only have one ear, that might be even worse. Yes, the hearing aid would be doing stuff. He said because it blocks off your ears a lot more, you hear, like I am now, you hear your own voice bouncing around inside your own head. She said, sure, you'll hear your own voice more with the hearing aid as well, but it's not so echoey with a regular hearing aid because it's more open. The hearing aids have a receiver inside the ear, a thin wire, and then 2 more microphones up the top. And there's a special for July, 15% off. Going into a workshop, you would want to be turning them off or removing them no matter what you had, because you wouldn't want to leave them in a workshop and having it turned on, because that would just be nuts. Over the ear hearing protection would probably get caught on the outer hearing aid, and I'd have to take an inner one out to put in hearing protection with the type that I wear anyway. The soonest I could probably get it be in about a week's time, because I'd have to order it. They do allow you to do a 2-week trial. He said I could try looking into the workers' comp, however, being that it's only the one ear. She says, I don't know how workers' comp works, but if it's only the one ear, they might say, well, if you've got hearing loss through work, then they'd both be going down the same. Not always, but if I did that, I would have to wait to go through that process and have that all approved, and then they only approve the mid-range anyway. She has said that there was somebody in the past who said, well, can I pay the extra to get the next level up? And workers' comp said, no. We will pay for this one and this one only, and that's what you get. I still wouldn't have it as soon as we go back to work. She said the soonest I could probably get them is next Tuesday, if I got away from work and got up there in time. That is likely the soonest I could get it. I asked about the tinnitus feature. It kind of just makes white noise in your ear. So having that sort of a hiss sound can mask the tinnitus. Just having any sort of background noise can be better for dealing with that. Like when I'm sitting in a very quiet environment, tinnitus drives me nuts. Driving now, the tinnitus in my left ear is still really noticeable. Right ear, not so much, just because of the noise around me. And so having TV on can help deal with that, the radio, and being that I would only have it in the one ear, because I don't need a hearing aid in the other ear. Anyway, we are going down to our storage unit to downsize. We're getting a smaller unit to save money. We're going to try and get rid of some stuff that we've got in there. Final final sand has been done on the ceiling, so that's ready to prime. I've also sanded all the walls with a random oil to kind of level out and get a bit of a scratch surface to the paint. Getting all of these things leveled out, giving a rough sand to the paint on the windows as well, on the door frame, to just give it some teeth for the paint to grab onto it. I need to get my caulking gun and just caulk around the edges of this plasterboard where it meets up with the timber frame, because there's no other trim going on that, it's just a caulk line. I've still got to buy a new baseboard to match the house. I've ordered a new cornice. Now my wife wanted something that was more than just the cove cornice that we've got throughout the house. Looked on Mitre 10, and Mitre 10 had some other ones, and there's one called Sydney, which is kind of the decorative look she was looking for. No one had it, but I was able to order some. Check to see whether they could get it onto the order that they'd made today, and they called me back and said, yep, that hadn't left yet, so I've got my cornice coming. I paid for it and I've got my cornice coming. They said it should be at Mitre 10 Penrith by Friday. Friday is when we have the NBN being upgraded, so, but that's in the morning, so I should be able to go and get the cornice midday, mid-afternoon type thing. And I want to put the cornice up before painting in here, because we're going to try and use my paint sprayer, rather than the doing it by roller, at least for the undercoat, because everything is going to be just undercoated, primed, which means I basically need to mask off the windows. My wife, being ever the bargain hunter, quite prolific at it, found another bargain on Marketplace. Yeah, because we're setting up the old study as a dressing room, she's been working out all the cabinetry, hanging, everything like that. Where the windows are is where she'd like to put her dresser. Now, her current dresser is far too tall, so she's been looking for something that's no taller than 3 feet, because that's where the windowsill is for the tall windows. She's seen a couple on Marketplace. One was a really nice antique one. They were asking $150 for it, and it's in the thing, it said needed to be removed by Thursday, which is today. And they're all the way down in the city. Now, she's been watching it, and it's still sitting there, or it was still sitting there, and she messaged them this morning and said, will you take 75? And they said, yep, as long as it's taken today. Guess what I'm doing? 75 cash, so I've got to stop at the ATM again. So weird using cash. It was a big thing prior to COVID, like doing so much stuff on Marketplace and everything, but everything we've basically been doing is like buy online, and there's only been a very small amount of things that she's found on Marketplace that needed to be collected cash on delivery. So like I said, right down in Sydney, Millers Point, that's basically down where the Opera House is, I think. One of the streets around there. It says it'll take me about an hour and a half, and I'll leave after 10 to try and avoid peak hour, being a Thursday. I'll get down there between 11:30 and 12, pick it up, tie it down, drive it back to the house, and then I have an afternoon appointment today with the skin cancer clinic, just a 6-monthly checkup. My original appointment for that was a couple of weeks ago, Saturday morning, and on that particular Saturday was when the wife said to me, I need to get the plasterboard, and I bought the lift, and then the Saturday morning there's a desk, can you go and get it? If you remember that, down at Warramoo, pick up the desk, come back. I completely forgot about my appointment. The thing that most annoys me about missing that appointment is it was the doctor's last day. He retired that afternoon. So I never got to see him for my appointment, his final day for the appointment. So I had to reschedule, and I'm just seeing which other doctor is there. Can't even remember the name. I don't know if I've ever seen them in the place before, but there's a few doctors there at 5 something this afternoon in Katoomba. Just arrived down in the city. Apparently the place is like an apartment building just back here. I had no idea that the M4 tunnel popped out at the Anzac Bridge. So I was just following the tunnel, and then out it popped. Anzac Bridge. All of a sudden I was like 7 minutes away. I couldn't take off the GPS so I needed to know where I was going. Trying to find the phone number again in my wife's texts. Finally got it, couldn't get through. I got a text back saying, they're at work, please text rather than call and they'll get back to you when they're free. So I've just pulled over. As I've passed the building, there's no parking. I'm sitting in a 5-minute parking zone, but I am trying to get in touch with the people to figure out where is best to park, because I'm going to assume it's in an apartment somewhere upstairs, because the address is a giant tower just back here. I'm hoping they say I can get underground parking in the building and we can get it and get out. Got to wait and see if they get back to me. I love these old terrace buildings down here. Some of the original houses. Of course, where we are now, the harbour bridge is just to the right of me, sort of. Actually, you might see it soon. But this was like, there we go, Captain Cook Hotel. This was the original Sydney. Like, construction workers having a smoko. I don't want to go somewhere and then suddenly get stuck on the harbour bridge. Couple of parking spots down here, but I don't want to park down here. Construction workers all on their phones, smoking or vaping. Evidence that Sydney is built on sandstone. That's the building that I had to come down to. The garage just here and let me in. This is for overhead construction so that stuff doesn't drop on the pedestrians' heads. I don't know what it is that's happening up there, but I like that they do this. This is why I'm be walking just up the road this way, about a block, is the Nessa building from where you come down for, if you're a rider. So when I've done riding for the exams, the Nessa building's just up here, and me and the other guys would come down to get some lunch. There's a whole stack of little cafes and restaurants. And this place here, the Thai Connection, does a vegan pad thai that I love. So when I recognised this street driving in, I went, I'm finding parking and getting some lunch. There was parking right in front of the place. I just couldn't get to it. So the parking I found was on-street parking, and I just put it for half an hour. Figured it wouldn't take me that long to walk down, get the food, walk back. 15 minutes to get back to the parking. Got back with a couple of minutes to spare. My pad thai is piping hot still. So start heading back. Really need a toilet and could not find anything anywhere. So I'm just gonna have to start driving. around down here somewhere. Again, I really wanted to film that trip out of the city, but I needed the GPS to guide me because it's changed a lot. Used to be two ways you'd come down the city, like come down the M4, then you'd hit Parramatta Road at Concord, and you'd basically come down Parramatta Road into the city. Or when you got to like Ashfield, you'd turn left and follow the road around that way, and then come up and over the Anzac Bridge, come in near Darling Harbour. On my way down, I knew that like the M4 had a tunnel, so instead of coming out at Concord, you head into a tunnel before you get there and travel underneath the suburbs. But you used to come out around 5 o'clock, and I was on it, and I'm just travelling. Next thing I know, I pop out at the Anzac Bridge, and I'm like, what? And they had asked, like, said, call when you're about 10 minutes away. No service in the tunnel. And so when I popped out, it all of a sudden said I was like 6 minutes away. So now to get back out west, go across the Anzac Bridge, and as soon as you're over the bridge, boom, you're in a tunnel, and this tunnel takes you all the way out to Homebush. It's at least 8 k's. And it's really weird because I feel like we're still heading down the whole time.